All right, and we are live. A little bit of technical difficulties here, but nothing we couldn't get sorted out. Welcome if you are brand new to my YouTube channel. My name is Amber Temerity, owner of ThriftyGuardian.com and EmbracingTemerity.com. And I am just today now my very first launch of this new series called Stepping Into Your Spotlight. And basically what that means is I am here to encourage and help and celebrate other online entrepreneurs and business owners, get them stepping into their own spotlight, going live, showing off their vibrant personalities, and really sharing the value that they have in a fun sort of conversational party atmosphere. Today, my very first person here is Gail Serna. She is a psychic medium. She runs GailSerna.com. And again, the whole point of this live stream today is just to learn a little bit more about her. And we are going to touch on sort of tapping into your own psychic abilities and talk a little bit about what it means that we're each sort of born with our own innate abilities, our own intuition, and how we can learn to listen to that a little bit more. So again, welcome, Gail.
Thank you, Amber. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. So can you tell us a little bit about how you sort of got started and not just becoming psychic and honing that skill set, but also how you got started in your online business?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So just real briefly, the way that I got started down my journey, it's through an experience. So some of us are born this way, they're psychic, and we never lose our psychic abilities. And then people have to sort of learn how to deal with them as they grow older. But in my case, I actually had an experience that brought me down my journey. When I was a young adult back in my late 20s, my dad unfortunately committed suicide, and it was so tragic for all of us that I really wanted to find out more about what had happened with him. So I sought out a psychic medium back in the day that was a referral from a trusted friend. And through that experience of talking to that psychic medium with just one session, I felt energy that had been trapped in my back, I guess, for a long time, leave my back. And I stood straighter, my spine felt better. I just all of a sudden had this healing, and I had no idea what that was about. I'd never experienced anything like that before. So that session with her left such a profound impact on me, and it made me feel better about my dad's passing, emotionally and physically, that I was hooked from that one session with her.
Very cool. Do you think that, like, prior to that session, did you ever feel like you had these abilities, or was it really just that one session sort of lit up the entire room for you and it was like light bulb?
In my case, I feel like it was that one session that was the light bulb moment for me.
All right. And so have you just been sort of honing it ever since? Have you had to step away and come back to it? Like what's that process been like?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I've been down my journey ever since. And it's so funny because once you start tapping into your intuition and just even asking in a prayer of intent, all of a sudden you're brought things into your sphere of influence that you might not have known about from before. And what I mean by that is I remember being at work, kind of talking to a coworker a little bit about something spiritual or something metaphysical. And then she talked about Wayne Dyer. And then I was in a bookstore, and all of a sudden I just automatically looked up, and there was the book that she was referring to right there on the shelf. And then one night we were even supposed to go to a family friend's house, and it was pouring rain out. My husband took my daughter. I couldn't go because my younger daughter was sick. And I was just surfing the TV, and sure enough, on PBS, there was Wayne Dyer. So after I'd been introduced to him it was like a series of three happenings or conversations, I knew that I had to find out more about him and what his message was. And he was the very first metaphysical author I ever got into. And then once I started reading his books, I was hooked from there. And then I was led down my path to my meditation group that I was in for 4 years until it closed. And that really opened up my psychic senses, was being in meditation.
And I know we've had private conversations about that before. Having worked for PBS, I'm quite familiar with Wayne Dyer. Was the book Stepping into the Gap? Is that one of his?
I'd have to look on my shelf and see which one it was, but I believe I remember it had a bird on the cover.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one that I've read, and it really is interesting because he really goes and it dives into, bridging the gap, and maybe that was it. Maybe it was called Bridging the Gap. I'd have, like I said, I have to look at the same. I've got it on my bookshelf, but yeah, he with that book came a guided meditation, and that's been my only experience beyond, what you and I have worked through before. But it's really interesting that he's the one that kind of kept reappearing to you and helped you on that journey. So now, can you tell us a little bit about like what it is that you do now, how you got to this space now to where you feel you're called to help those through? I know you do some in Los Angeles, in person, but also online. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, so I'm always practicing. I'm in a few different psychic development circles and going to classes, and I'm currently doing an online class with Doreen Virtue, so I'm soon going to be certified. So in any case, oh well, we'll just let it go off. It's live, can't do anything about it. So just to kind of answer that question for you in a nutshell, so I do work with people both online and in person. So if it's online, it's through a format similar to what we're working on today, or Skype. Or if they're in Los Angeles, I have an office, and they can just contact me ahead of time through my services page and decide which reading they feel is appropriate for them based on the, the tier system that I have for the readings. And then from there, once they decide and they pay me, I get an email that's sent in, and then I know to contact them and basically book from there. So it doesn't matter where anyone lives, energy is there no matter what. And what I love about tapping into my intuition, it's so rooted in me that I don't know how I would function here on Earth without my intuition. So it's about tapping into your psychic senses. We all have physical senses, and for every physical sense we have a matching psychic sense. And it's really easy to figure out which one of your psychic senses is your more prominent one, although you have access to all of them. You just think about like being in your favorite vacation destination. Like for me, my favorite vacation destination is Hawaii. So when I'm there, if I think about my senses, like let's say I'm at the beach, well, first of all, I'm just taking it all in, the beauty of the place. So I'm a real visual person. So that's one of my psychic senses. So I see a lot of psychic information in my third eye, not outside of myself, but in my third eye. Or I listen a lot. I'm a real audient person. And so I'll hear the birds. So sure enough, the way that spirit comes through to me is through being clairaudient, or I listen a lot to my guidance. And then my third psychic sense is really my knowing, which is most people's psychic sense is really their knowing. Like a thought will just kind of pop in. So that's how you can sort of tell which one of your psychic senses is the most predominant. And really, it just starts with a prayer of intent. Like you could say silently to yourself, like, let's say a lot of people don't really know who God is to them, and that's okay. For me, it is the Jesus Christ energy, but it's different for everyone. So what I like to say is angels are messengers of God. So if you're not sure who your God is to you, you haven't defined that yet, but you want to start making a connection with your higher self. just ask for the angels to assist, because angels run across all religions kind of equally. And you can say in a prayer silently to yourself, you know, angels, I want to become a little bit more psychic and listen to my higher self guidance. Please help me with this. And you will start noticing as you go into conversations with people that you'll have, they might say something to you that really resonate with you, or you'll just start noticing these synchronicities in your life that you didn't notice from before. And then meditation is really when you're really quiet, and it's about listening to the answer, because we're so rooted in our thoughts are a lot, most of the time, negative, and you really have to work on quieting your thoughts. So it's really through making that connection with your breath, or a guided visualization or guided meditation that will help take you into that zone. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it really does. So let's say, you know, obviously, again, you and I have had conversations, but let's say that I was somebody who has zero experience in what, you know, what a lot of us call like the woo-woo world, you know, being in touch with our intuition. Would you say then that that's the way to get started, is to just put out that prayer of intent and then start to form a habit of meditation on, would you say immediately try to do a daily basis, or do you think even just once a week can make a difference? What sort of time commitment would people be looking at if they're trying to develop these skills?
So those are really great answers, Amber. And what I would say is you're exactly correct. So it does start with that prayer of intent. And then from there, it is about meditation. But you have to start somewhere. And when I first started meditating back in the day, it was really hard for me even to do 5 minutes. It was difficult because I'm training myself to basically quiet my mind and concentrate on something else, which is kind of the key, whether it's your breath or whether it's a guided meditation that you might be listening to. So what I would say is just go ahead and do whatever works for you, and probably finding a meetup group in your area. If people are familiar with meetup.com, that website where somebody's offering meditation, go ahead and get involved in that group, because that will be a structured time. Even if it's just once a week, it'll get you started down your path. That's how I started, was just going to someone else's group once a week. And then I'm such a nut that I made my own meditation about how to connect to your guardian angels. It's available for download on my website. But beyond that, I love going on YouTube, and I just search up meditation, and I just know what I'm drawn to and whatever resonates with me. And I just zone out and listen to somebody else's guided meditation. So that's, and there's different durations too. That's what's great about YouTube, is like the one I wrote is 45 minutes long, because I'm actually trying to get people to solve a problem. And that kind of leads us into our next point. So this is what's so cool about tapping into your higher guidance, your intuition, your angel wisdom, whatever you want to call it, is if you have any issues going on in your life, you can use your higher self to solve any problem. But you have to learn to tap into that knowledge first. So that's exactly what I like about it. And coming from an anxious upbringing where I didn't have a lot of self-confidence, as I started to go down my journey back in my early 20s, the angels taught me how to have self-confidence, stand up in my own inner integrity, and learn how to speak my truth and not allow people to like bully me, which I'd been bullied as a child. So that was kind of my life's lesson, to learn how to overcome that. So they just have so many wonderful qualities. I can't say enough about what that's like, tapping into your intuition.
Well, I would imagine, yeah. And I like that you mentioned, obviously, that you have that meditation available, but that it is for, that it is a little bit longer to help people actually dive into it and solve a problem. Because I know when I've gone on YouTube before, just looking for random meditations, just to try and find that 5 minutes a piece, it always feels kind of, it's hard for me to find ones that I connect with. So I'm glad that you put that out there, and people can just go to your website. How much is it to download that?
Oh, it's $10.
Oh, that's affordable. That's really good. And again, like I think, especially knowing that it's specific to being able to solve that problem, like, come on, y'all know you want to buy that. So we'll definitely make sure that we get the website in there so that people know how to find that. But then you also have something that's going on in Los Angeles, right? Like an in-person get-together. What's that? What you got going on with that?
Thank you so much for asking. Yes. Okay, so if anyone's in the Los Angeles area in the San Fernando Valley on June 7th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Be the Change Energy Center, we are, my friend and I, colleague, we're both psychic mediums. Her name's Kim Falcon. We both channel the angel guidance. We are having a workshop that will help you. Actually, you can come with one of your life's issues to the workshop and receive angelic channel guidance. And I'm not sure how many people are there yet, have signed up, but we are asking that people prepay ahead of time. And on my Facebook business page, I actually have an event that I created, a Facebook event, and it'll actually take you to the link where you can sign up for these tickets. And that's $25 to attend. And so we will take you on a guided meditation as well. We'll call forth the angels into the room, and then whomever we're called to, we will go ahead and choose them, and they'll go ahead and tell us kind of what their issue or problem is, and they can feel very safe that they're in a safe environment to share. And then we'll channel the angel guidance and wisdom and see what comes forth for them to help get them correctly on their path or on their journey. A lot of people that I see, I found out this, it was interesting after I looked back on all the many readings I'd done over the course of 2 years. I found out that people were born around the 1980s, 1985 timeframe, and many of these souls, as I call them, really are not sure what they're here to do on Earth, and they have this knowing inside of them that they're meant to do something a lot greater than what they're doing. So I can help, the angel wisdom can help you, guide you on your path. And a lot of people feel like the angels are really high-minded, but what I do is I tap into that angel energy, and we hear from many different light beings. So it could be angels, it could be spirit guides, it could be deceased loved ones that want to communicate with you, it could be ascended master energy. So there's a whole host of light being energy that comes through when you're in an angel session. And that workshop's phenomenal, because when you're in a group and you bring through that angel energy, like Kim and I are a conduit for it, it's like nothing you've ever experienced. You just have to be there in person to experience it.
I love that. And only for $25. That seems like a really good deal. And then as far as like connecting with people online, because I know, I think across the board, people are always, when they're running online businesses, you kind of get that digital fatigue where you do feel burnt out, you feel lost, you feel like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? So I know you mentioned that people can still connect with you online. So do they just go to your website? Same thing. What's the pricing for that? Does it just kind of vary based on those tiers you were talking about?
Yeah. So if you go on my website on the services page, you'll see all the different reading options, and the least expensive reading option I have, which is ask one question for a 20-minute reading, that's, I believe, $27. And then from there, I think I have a half-hour mediumship reading. And then from there, I have my sacred light reading, which is really my signature reading, which is an hour reading, which involves everything I do in a session, which would be connecting to a deceased loved one, hearing your angel guidance, helping you with the problem that you might have. And I also did a program where if people want to work with me for 4 hours, it's called the Deep Dive Session. That's 1 hour each week, where we can get more in depth on, that's really life-changing, because we go into actually clearing cords, cutting cords to different mind codes that are sabotaging you, not only in this lifetime, but throughout other lifetimes. We identify them and then cut the cords. And that's a process that you go through. And that's why I created that 4-hour session.
That's awesome. And how much is that?
It's around $400, I believe, but I'm totally negotiable on all my price points too. So let's say somebody goes on my services page and they still really want to have a reading with me. you just tell me what you can pay, and then I can invoice you through PayPal. And I'll tell you if I feel what you're asking me is fair, and we'll go from there.
That works. And then in terms of your business page, you do, if people are interested in like sampling your work, kind of getting a feel for whether they'd work well for you, you do sometimes do free readings there too, right?
I do. Now, my schedule has been Thursdays at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time or Daylight Time. But with the summer coming up, I'm not sure if I'm going to be set on that schedule or not. So if you connect to me or like my business page, and then just go ahead and I guess you have to notify Facebook that you want my stuff to start showing up on your feed. I post the night before or the morning of. I give you more than enough time to tell you when I am going to be on live. And I also have a YouTube channel as well. So you can go ahead and see my work there too. But yeah, I have many Facebook Lives. And what's interesting about angel messages is when you pull angel cards, they're a little different from tarot. They're angel oracle cards, and you just give what you give and get what you get once you pull them, and you never pull the wrong card, and the right message usually always comes through, and it is based on that law of attraction. So even if somebody wanted to go listen to an old Facebook Live, they'd see some message in there that was meant for somebody else that would really resonate with them, because it's like group messages. That's what's great about being in an environment where you're either in a group online or you're in a group in person, is somebody else will have the same type of issue, and you'll say, oh, that makes so much sense for me too. Like it'll just resonate with you and the bells will go off, but you didn't even ask it.
That's probably then like ties to better learning to listen to your own intuition, your own psychic abilities, right? Is that learning to hear those messages that are already out there, again, whether it's an old Facebook Live video or something you see where it's like that little voice that goes, oh, hey, that's meant for me.
Yeah, and it's really important also. One other really great thing about tapping into your intuition is your intuition will tell you things to, let's see, how can I put this, stay safe in your life. So like how many times have people gotten themselves into situations and they're like, oh my God, they heard that little voice inside their head saying they shouldn't have gone to that party, or they shouldn't have gotten into the car with the person, or something's not quite right, but they didn't listen. So the thing is if you really pay attention to what your intuition's telling you, your intuition will save lives, not only yours, but other people around you.
That's crazy you say that, because immediately in my mind, I'm thinking about a time where I was coming back from vacation with a bunch of friends, and it was a big group. And so we had carpooled, there were 5 or 6 vehicles, and my friend had me ride with her. And I even tweeted out, like my inner voice was going, don't get in her car. Nah, this is a bad idea. Don't. And I even tweeted out, I'm like, haha, driving back with Leanne, hope I survive. And sure enough, like we got into a car accident, and it was by the grace of God that, because I was sitting, she had one of those old station wagons where the back seat faces the people behind you. And I still to this day don't know how, because, I'm 5'10". If we had gotten hit at all, my legs would have been gone. And so you talk about that, about listening to your voice, how it can save lives. And that was immediately in my brain went, yep, remember that time when you didn't listen to your own intuition? So that's a really, really good point. Is there anything else you want to cover in this little spotlight interview that we haven't yet touched on?
No, just thank you so much, Amber, for being a light yourself and helping other entrepreneurs. And you have such a kind heart. So I'm really enjoying meeting people from your group. Your group is like a catalyst for me. So
I'm so glad.
Yeah. There isn't really anything else. I just love what I do. I love working with people, and it's so weird. I feel such a call to be down the journey doing what I'm doing that there's no turning back. So you're like my business guru. I mean, I'm learning as I go along, and I just remember being in a few of your mastermind groups, and I've come such a long way under your tutelage. So I mean, I look, my website's like proof of that. Like, how many websites have I been through now, and different platforms and all of that other stuff. So just keep shining your light too, because by shining our light and by centering ourselves in our heart space, we do attract those that we're meant to work with.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I firmly believe that myself, because I know, I mean, obviously I've always loved chatting with you, and I've had dozens of other people in my mastermind groups that I'm still very connected with. And that is, again, the whole point of this series, is to not necessarily shine my own light into this, but just to shine a light into what it is that we are doing and how it is that we can all help each other. If you are a part of my Facebook group, it's called Entrepreneurs and Bloggers in the Spotlight, and that's exactly what it is. It's about collaboration over competition. It's about helping one another, because there's more than enough to go around. So again, Gail, thank you so much for being here. I always love chatting with you, and I learn something new every time we talk. So I appreciate you taking the time and working with me as we got through the technical difficulties.
Thank you so much, Amber. Please say hi to your family.
I will.